Hey y'all, it's that time of the year again down here in southwest Mississippi. It's not just hot, it's jungle hot. It's so hot the cows are giving evaporated milk. It's so hot the chickens are laying hard-boiled eggs. Okay, enough dad jokes. But it is hot. I'm sitting here sweating, and it made me think about how our ancestors dealt with it. They could not escape it. They had to deal with it. They worked right through the middle of this heat like this. And they didn't know what electrolytes were, but they understood that when you worked in the heat and you sweated, that your body lost something that had to be replenished. And so they had a drink that they made back then. It went by various names, just, like a lot of things did, depending on what part of the country you were in. But it's called Switchel, or Swizel, or Haymaker's Punch, or Haymaker's Tea, and you may know it by some other names. If you do, leave it in the comments down below. But basically, it's the forerunner to GatorAid, PowerAid, and all of these other sports drinks that exist today. This is the great-great-granddaddy of them all. This drink was brought over by the original settlers that came to the New World. They brought it from the old country with them. And there's several different ways that you can make it. Basically, it has a sweetener in it, and it has some apple cider vinegar. It's got a little ginger in it, and if you want to, you can put a pinch of salt. And they knew that it would replenish them. It would build them back up after they had lost a lot of electrolytes. And so they wanted to put something back into their body. But the one thing that they did not want to do, they didn't believe in it, was to drink something ice cold when they were extremely hot, like if they were out plowing or baling hay or making hay or hoeing the garden. I know my old uncles, when I was coming up, we'd be out working on the farm, and if you brought them glasses of ice water, they would take it and set it down and wait for that ice to melt before they would ever drink it. They thought that you would get heat stroke or sunstroke or overheat, and they just wouldn't drink cold like that when they were hot. And that belief goes all the way back to the founding of this country. But this drink that we're going to make today, Switchel, is the one drink that they would drink cold. As a matter of fact, George Washington, during the American Revolution, actually ordered his troops to drink Switchel when they were hot. And when you're in the army or in the military, everything is not just fighting battles. A lot of times you're working hard, building ramparts and revetments and all of the other structures that you use in battle. And so they knew what hard work was. So, with that being said, let's get down to it. Very simple. In this pitcher, I've got 5 cups of cold water. Doesn't have to be cold, but it's hot today. I prefer it cold. I've got my Brer Rabbit molasses. This company started in 1907. Still making it today. Now, if you're going to use molasses, you don't want to use heavy blackstrap molasses. You want the lightest molasses that you can get, because molasses has a very heavy flavor to it. As I said, they wanted a sweetener in it. They would use molasses. When you go back to the founding of this country, up in the northeast part of the country, New England, etc., they had access to maple syrup. They would more than likely use maple syrup up there. Down here in southwest Mississippi, our ancestors didn't have access to a lot of maple syrup. They did have a lot of molasses. They would typically use that. The other sweetener that you can use in place of this, and most people with our palate today, our modern palate, you would probably prefer to use honey. But going back in the day when our ancestors were doing this, honey was, as it is today, expensive, and they would save that honey for something else. So, into my 5 cups of cold water here, I'm going to put a half a cup of molasses. and that's plenty. And I have to be honest with you, I am not a fan of molasses. I'm making this in the historical way. If I were making this for my own personal use, which this will be, but if I was making my preference, I'd probably use maple syrup, or I would use honey. Because I'm fortunate enough that I can afford a half a cup of honey. Alright, so the next ingredient in our drink is a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. They might just use cider. That's the milliliter side. I don't think our ancestors would have had to deal with that. A little too much. Vinegar can make it kind of hard to swallow as well. So, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. Put that in. Don't like to waste. Get what we can out of there. All right. Next, we need 3 teaspoons of ground ginger. Again, if you're going to do this, do it to your taste. And if you are not familiar with ginger, it's basically like pepper. It's hot, burns, but it spices up that drink, and they would have wanted that. All right, close enough. This is not rocket science. And I'm going to go ahead and put in just a pinch of salt. Not much. You don't need much, but it's an electrolyte, and that is the point here, is that we're trying to get electrolytes back into our body. Stir that up good, because that molasses is hard to get it to mix in. Should do it. And the last ingredient, again optional, all of this is see, you know, do it to your taste, is lemon. Squeeze a little bit, not much. And go ahead and put some slices of lemon in it. Now you've got a nice refreshing drink that will help you bounce back from the heat. Now if you've never seen this before, it's as brown as Mississippi mud, Mississippi River water. Cheers. It's different, it's interesting. It's actually kind of good though. I think it's something that you acquire a taste for, but it is good for you. It's historical, and your great-great-grandparents would have known it. Your great-great-grandmother probably made this, her own version of it, and brought it out to your great-great-grandfather when he was hot and sweaty working in the fields of the yard. Give it a try. Let me know what you think, and let me know in the comments. See you next time.